When I think of ironing, I think of finishing an outfit. Um, I like a lot of fun prints, funky patterns, and you don't get the full effect if it's wrinkled. So I think that's how I finish off an outfit, and that makes me feel ready to go out and like I'm presenting myself well, even though it's a small step in getting ready. That's how I feel. In addition to that, I also used to be a server at a banquet center, so I would work weddings, and I'd have to wear a bow tie and a vest and the whole fancy outfit shebang. So I would have to do that for that, so in order to be presentable as a server at a fancy event. Right now, I'm a student from Ohio, actually. I go to University of Cincinnati, and I'm studying design, and for the semester, I'm working here in the Big Apple as a graphic designer.
So I don't iron. I mean, I try to. I have a miniature iron board and an iron that I've used probably twice because when I was younger, I don't know what I was doing. I was trying to iron something and I burned myself on this arm. So I burned myself on the oven and then I burned myself again with the iron and then with a flat iron on my elbow. I burned myself a lot. So I try to stay away from ironing. And my mom, my grandmother, every time I wear a shirt, they're like, look at all those wrinkles on their shirt. You have to iron. And I'm like, no, Grandma, no, I can't. I'm scarred for life. But I have a love-hate relationship with ironing. They have the ones that the steamers. My stepsister tried using it once on herself. She was wearing a shirt, and she was like, "Oh, it's wrinkly, so I'm gonna iron it." And so she had the shirt on, and she went like this, and she burned her stomach because she tried ironing her shirt while wearing it.
That's so silly. That's very silly. Sorry,
Yeah.
it is. Sounds very silly.
Yeah. I have never seen my dad iron in his life.
You did?
But only because, no, I've seen my dad iron once or twice, maybe, only because my mom wasn't home. And I think she was away with my grandma or something, and my dad really needed his shirt ironed because it was not well. And so he was ironing it, but he did a pretty good, well done job.
I actually love to iron. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, actually.
Wow, you want to iron my clothes?
If I'm going out like at night and like I care what I look like, then I'll iron. But like usually I don't care what I look like. See, I know how to iron because my mom actually taught me how to. So
Aw,
yeah.
That's so nice.
So yeah.
We are the good generation. You know?
I mean, I think the only way for men and women to finally be equal is like they have to accept that everything in life, like there is no set role for a woman and there's no set role for a man, and that there shouldn't be a divide. So like household stuff like ironing, like that's not just something a woman should do or a man should do, like, you know. So that, I mean, I'm going into working in construction, and that's dominated by men. Like I'm the only woman on job sites most of the time. So like, you know, that's a big thing. And just to show that women can do anything that a man can do. And there's definitely limitations. Like I can't do some of the stuff that other men can do, and I have to accept that like I'm not physically capable of doing certain things. So I think it's a lot of just knowing your boundaries and knowing what you can actually accomplish and what you can't, and ask for help when you need it.
Especially in like STEM fields, women are very underrepresented in like science, math, you know, all that, like engineering. And it starts with like things like ironing, like just having gender roles. And then women feel like they have to stay to their norms, and men feel like they need to stay to their norms. And it kind of hurts collaboration.
When my mom was pregnant with me and my other siblings, my dad wanted, if we were girls, a gender-neutral name, because my dad understood that if I wanted to go into business and they saw that my name was, I don't know, something very feminine, then there's a chance that my name would be overlooked in the hiring process, because my dad is a businessman and he understands like some people are like that. Especially when I went to international school, they saw my name, but they didn't look at gender or anything, and they assumed I was going to be a guy. And when I showed up, they're like, oh wow, that's actually a girl. Because they just looked at my name.
Independence. And I'll tell you why. I should I speak closer?
No, it's okay.
No. I had never used an iron before. It was the morning of my graduation from college. And I had this awesome outfit ready to go. The only problem was my tie was a little wrinkled. And I was thinking, like, how the fuck do I unwrinkle a tie? It's not something you can just sort of like hang up. Like, it's tough to just get those wrinkles out. Asked around to all my friends, everyone who I'd ever met, whether they had any tips. And my friend Jack offered me up his iron. It was like a tiny little one, probably bigger, like as big as my hand.
Okay.
And laid my tie down, went to work, slowly pressing out those wrinkles, and it went well.
Okay.
And I had a wrinkle-free tie, and then I was ready to like embrace the world as a new college graduate. And that's a lot of what adulthood is. It's like not really knowing what you're doing, but
Okay.
I know enough to try.
Can I touch it?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's got a nice weight to it. It says it's nice because, you know, a lot of home improvement products these days are they're going for this like I feel like they're trying to skip the like human part of things. They're trying to be all like robotic and like all your problems are solved. This doesn't look like something that's going to solve all of your problems, but like the things within its jurisdiction, it will handle very well. It's like reliable, trustworthy. It knows its boundaries. It knows that it might mess up once or twice, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not just erase mistakes from our humanity, but actually to say we need mistakes. That's how we exist. So,
I love it. Okay.
thank you. That's what it makes me think.
Okay.
Like we were just in Best Buy and they have all these like very sleek, sexy home products. It's like, no. Why is that the goal? You know, why is that the goal? Why is sleek and sexy our goal when we could have fucking solid machines that get it done, but like you still have to work a little bit. Like where is the will to work? Why are we so lazy? Why do we want all of our problems solved for us by these sleek fucking machines made by people who hate us? I mean, Jeff Bezos hates us. Fucking Mark Zuckerberg hates us. These people suck, and yet we're like, oh, they know what's up. No, the people who made that thing know what's up. That's what I feel about that iron. That's what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Have you seen your mom doing this or your dad doing this?
My mom.
What do you think why?
Why is my mom doing that? Because women have been relegated to domesticity because of patriarchal sexism and horrible systemic oppression. And that too is enforced by this fucking sleek bullshit whereby the standard of beauty for women, which has been to be sleek and sexy, is then turned into these fucking machines that are then made into these like sex commodities. Like iPhone equals sexy. Oh, you have an iPhone, you can fuck. It's like, no. You can fuck if you know what joy is. You can fuck if you know what compassion is. But there's no joy and there's no compassion in any of the shit we're talking about these days.
I don't know. That's a really interesting question. I think it gives me memories of stories I've heard from my mother that I didn't even witness. Like, my mom used to use an iron to straighten her hair, like a real iron. Like back, yeah, she would tell me stories that she'd put her hair on the ironing board and literally iron it. And so I, personally, it's like kind of a nostalgic item for me. I really couldn't tell you why. I think as I was growing up, my dad would ask me to iron his shirts for him because he didn't know how. I'll tell you, I hate ironing. I fucking hate it. And I do it every day, literally every day. So it's kind of like this weird thing that I just am programmed to use. I don't know. I think it's kind of weird talking about an iron with you. I don't know. It's kind of weird because I kind of hate it, but I love the iron. This is so funny. I'm talking about it as though it's a person. And I get really frustrated if I don't have an iron available to me. So I was just traveling in South Africa, and I didn't have a clothing iron, and I was like really pissed. It's like, my clothes are wrinkled. This is so annoying. And it's more about me just wanting to look like sleek, like that guy was saying. Like, I have this idea in my head that, you know, once I iron my clothes, I'm nice and sleek, I can go and I can leave, right? It's so bizarre how, you know, a fucking wrinkled shirt can dictate how my mind feels about myself. I grew up in a house where we always had an iron. When I would go visit my aunts who live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, her everyday life was washing clothes, putting it on the floor with a towel and ironing every single piece of clothes. I mean, bed sheets she would iron, like everything, jeans, underwear, like everything was getting ironed. And I used to always feel so bad that she was doing this, but like she looked like she really liked doing it. I always fill it up with water too. Like every time I use it, if there's no water in it, I'll go to my sink. I hate doing that. That's my most hated part about the iron, when there's no water left. And I'm always rushing. I'm from New York. Like, I'm in this state of constant, I need to get out now. So like that 1 minute or 30 seconds of filling it up with water, I hate it. It's like, what a waste of my time. I mean, probably not even. Like, it would be nice if I met a man who was like, I'll iron your clothes for you, babe. Like, that would be like fucking awesome. But I can't even get a hold of my guy right now. He probably doesn't want to hang out with me, so that's probably too much to ask for.
To have married my best friend, and she's wonderful with clothing and fabric and creating clothes. She is a seamstress.
Oh, okay.
So I don't generally at home have to go near an iron, really. I do other things to help us. Well, the best of relationships is that people help one another to thrive. I think it's cultural. It's a historical. I mean, anything that a particular group of people do as a regular thing on a regular basis, it's going to be cultural. Then the question could be, does the cultural come out of the biological? So there are biological and physiological and anatomical differences between the male generally of the species and the female. So how much of that difference reflects itself in my mother did the ironing when I grew up, my father did not. And in my own life, and I didn't really plan it, certainly not very carefully. Life has a way of happening in spite of our best efforts. Yeah.
I remember ironing my dad's handkerchiefs. That would be a chore my mother would give me when I was, I guess, tall enough to raise the ironing board. And then there's the time I was ironing on the floor on a wet towel because I didn't have a board. And I put the iron down, and I had a V-shaped burn mark in my carpet for, 10, 14 years.
So it's all about the crease with me.
All about
the crease.
What is it?
The crease.
What is the crease?
A crease is when you have a fold and you make it very sharp.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Because the iron is the only thing that'll make a sharp crease. But also when you're trying to iron something that doesn't want to get ironed, it's kind of cottony and billowy, and you try to flatten it out, you wind up having unintentional creases that are annoying.
Oh, okay.
So there's the crease and the crease, and that's how I feel about ironing.
Okay, thanks. And do you like ironing?
Do I like ironing? In small doses.
Okay.
I can appreciate it for short periods, but if I have to do much of it, then it feels like unpleasant work.
Yeah.
At my house, it's always been my dad's job to do all the ironing. And I was supposed to learn it, and I have failed to do so. But eventually, if I learn to iron, I'll feel like I'm taking over, all the responsibilities of growing up and becoming an adult.
How it was in my house?
Or like, any memory.
Okay. So we usually used to send all our clothes for ironing. There's like a system back home where there's someone who'll come to your house to pick up all the clothes, and he comes every morning.
Yeah, that too.
You'll send the clothes, and then he'll come back the next morning, give you the clothes, iron clothes. But in rare occasions, it was my mother who used to do the ironing for me.